Welcome to MissPoppins, the Art of Parenting, podcast dedicated to creating a supportive community for new parents. I'm your host, Nicky Rishi, and today we have a special episode focusing on safe sleep. Join me in an incredible woman who shares a passion for supporting moms on their wellness journey as it relates to sleep and their kids. Let's get to know Nicole, a newborn care specialist, postpartum doula, and pediatric sleep consultant. She combines her passion for infant well-being with a background in her child development to support families in the crucial early stages of parenthood. Her focus is on smoothing the postpartum journey, empowering parents with effective sleep strategies, and ensuring the best care for newborns, infants, toddlers, all while boosting parental confidence in their caregiving roles. Let's dive into our conversation with Nicole to learn more about her remarkable journey and dedication to helping parents. Welcome, Nicole. So glad to have you on our podcast today.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Let's get right to our questions. Of course, we say for anything in life, safety first. And let's talk about it in the context of sleep. What makes a sleep space safe for infants, toddlers, and children overall?
Yes, so I want to begin speaking about babies who have not rolled over on their bellies yet. We always want to use the ABCs tips. Always place baby on their back in their crib. Make sure that the space that they're sleeping in is always on a flat mattress. We never want it to be to any, for anything that's going to harm them. Make sure there's nothing in their crib, especially for a child who is not 1 year old yet. They should not have a lovey or a blanket. We don't want any suffocation to occur, and make sure that their crib, again, doesn't have like any stuffed animals. If it has an extra passy, that's okay, but nothing to harm them.
But I know that pacifiers come with lovey sometimes so that they stick there, right? Is that okay? Or is that also where you're like just the pacifier and then probably a sleep sack, which is very often recommended instead of a blanket?
Yes.
So what about the little lovey that the pacifier sticks on? That's also a no?
We should avoid that, just because until they're able to turn over by themselves and be able to take it out, just so it's not suffocating on their nose or their mouth. The sleep sack and swaddle, that's always okay. Of course, the swaddle is up until they start rolling over. Once they're, showing any signs of turning over, we want to get them out of that sleep swaddle and into their sleep sack. That way their arms are out and they're able to turn.
Right. And I know the swaddle is you're saying rollover could be first 2 months, first 3 months, depends on the baby. So you're doing the swaddling and then you're putting them, a lot of the parents put them in, what do you call it? In the crib, but also, isn't it?
Yes, they're DockATot.
DockATots, which was really helpful. And then you place the baby, and then when they're starting to roll over, you take out the DockATot, put them in a sleep sack. And Is that when it's okay to continue with the pacifier and introduce the lovey, or is that still I guess what age are we introducing the
usually,
concept of
with certain clients, again, it depends on the baby. A lot of times they're not really moving their head side to side or turning over. That's why during tummy time, we want to teach them how to go back and forth. That way, when it's time for their nap or bedtime, you just really want to monitor them when they start turning over. And it depends. Some can independently do it at 3 months, 4 months, some at 6 months. But of course, once they start getting older and they're not turning over yet, that's when they'll speak to their pediatrician and see if there's anything causing any delays. But that tummy time during the day on the mat helps a lot for their naps and bedtime and their strength on turning over.
Got it. What are the tips and tricks and techniques or any pointers that you can give to parents to choose the safest and most comfortable options for their little ones?
So I look at it as whatever they're comfortable with. A lot of time parents think, when we're doing our consultations and our sleep assessments, they think that all sleep training means crying it out, which in this case, it's not. I have so many different methods. There's the time checks where they go in, and when we do the sleep plan, we do letting them self-soothe on their own for 1 minute. Then we gradually increase it to 3 minutes, and then 7 minutes, 10 minutes. And every every time they go in to check on their baby, we're increasing the minutes. And by then they're like, okay, we're self-soothing ourselves. And sometimes moms don't have to even go in because now they're back to sleep. And so I always speak to the parents, it's very important what they are comfortable with. There's the chair method where they're in the room while the baby's sleeping. Some people right away, for their results, but it's not going to always be that way. It's going to take time. So, if they do want to do cry it out, they can. But I also like to blend and mix in my methods, like maybe do a chair method and time checks, like you're not in the chair the whole time. And then you can come right back in. Each time when I'm giving the log, it says on there the different increments and times that we're going to be doing. And maybe we can cut that in half and do, okay, at this time you'll be doing the chair and then moving away. That way the baby isn't, seeing you the whole time. Or if they feel like that's not working, I usually like to give it at least 3 days to see if this is working or if they're comfortable with it, because we don't have to do anything that they're not comfortable with or keeping the method on the same one the whole week or the 5 days. We can switch it up in the middle, but I at least want to give it at least 2 to 3 days, because sometimes they might, feel like it's not working and then they're like, oh no, night 3 helped, let's keep it.
Right. And these are called gentle sleep coaching methods. Yes. I know sleep training, because the Ferber method has historically got a stigma attached to it, but there are gentler methods, like you mentioned here, that can definitely be implemented. So why don't we high level touch upon the concept of co-sleeping as well? So as we talk through our options today in this podcast, are all of them more related to sleep training, sleep coaching independently, or could some of these also be applicable to co-sleeping?
So a lot of times when a client comes to me and they're, co-sleeping with their baby, I understand not a lot of people are comfortable with leaving their baby in their crib in the room, even though there's the monitor. But I do highly recommend, if you are going to leave your baby in your room, at least leave them in the room, but in their own crib. They could be right next to you. There's also the mattresses that have the pull out, and the baby's next to the mom and the mom is in the bed with dad. So at least that way we can reduce the risk of SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome, that happens unfortunately a lot throughout the years. And we want to avoid that, because a lot of moms think, they go on Google and they read these things that are like, oh yeah, sometimes it is safe to sleep with your baby, or but we really do encourage, if you don't feel comfortable leaving them in their own room, let's keep them in your room, but in a crib.
Yes, and so that goes into this concept of stress for moms, right? They hear a baby cry, they're doing this coaching, the baby is stressed, mom is stressed. The highest cortisol readings some of the research has done is during the sleep training in the journey of motherhood. So what are some of the effective strategies to soothe children before bed? And I think that would in turn help moms feel better about this method too, or this training as well, right? And is it different for infants, toddlers, newborns? I think newborns, of course, can't be sleep trained, but infants versus toddlers,
no.
What are some effective strategies?
Newborns can't be sleep trained, but I always like to encourage moms, because I do work with ages 0 to 7 years old. Although we can't sleep train a 1 or 2 month old, we can put them on a routine to where they're not just sleeping and waking up whenever they want. Because again, a newborn at 2 months can do floor time, even though they're not on their tummy, they're on their back. That's when they're starting to coo, and they're, playing with their rattle toys and just getting movements going. Now, what I love recommending, routines are always number one, because again, it helps the children, whether it's a 4-month-old, a 6-month-old, or a 1-year-old, helping them to develop this, okay, now tonight at this time after dinner or after bottle, we're gonna take a bath, give them a nice soothing bath using whatever body wash they like. Maybe it has a nice calming fragrance to it. Then after bath, getting them to the room and massaging them with their lotion, getting them in their PJs, letting them pick out a book, and dimming the lights. We don't want it to be where there's a lot of TV time before bed, because it's getting them all riled up. We want them to get calm and ready for bed. And then that way we can wind them down a little. Even if mom wants to sing a song, or maybe there's a lullaby, that they can play for them just to calm them while they're holding their lovey if they're of age. Different ages. I feel like bath, book, and getting them into their room, maybe having like a calming corner or like on the rocking chair. It doesn't matter even if they're an older age or a 2 or 3 year old. All of that connects, and it does help them wind down before bed.
It's the concept of routine, right? Whether it is a routine in the morning, it's a nap time routine, it's a sleep time routine. The fact that you're consistently sticking to something, and of course a calming routine before bedtime, that makes sense, but a consistent routine end of the night is key for managing expectations, tantrums, and a good coaching environment and a sleep environment. So let's talk about furniture and the concept of different transitions, right? Let's blend the two. I recently, with the twins, not too long ago, went from the transition from a crib to a toddler bed, and I have sleep trained both of them since age 3 months or 4 months, 3.5, 4 months. And one of the hardest transitions, it was swaddle to sleep sack, but the hardest transition, even including potty training, was the transition from crib to toddler bed, because there's all this independence all of a sudden of them walking out of the room. So this is really going to be an interesting topic to talk about. When and how should parents transition kids from crib to a toddler bed, and what are the signs that they are ready, and how do you make the change to be safe and positive? And I have so many more questions we can get into after this.
Yes, for sure. So I love this topic. Okay, so a lot of times, even if the child is in their sleep sack and they're really ready to get out, they will climb that crib. Nothing will stop them. So a lot of times they will get out of it, and you're like, oh my gosh, you want to be safe, so you're getting them out. A lot of times that does happen at the age of maybe 1.5 to 2 years. We encourage no later than 3 years. Like 2 to 3 years old will be like the max of when they should transition them out. And remember, I'm sure you did this, make sure that the room is as safe as if they're inside of a crib. That way okay, I'm shutting the door, they're going to sleep, I have my monitor on, and I can go to bed peacefully, knowing that if my child were to get out of their mattress and toddler bed or floor bed, whatever you choose, that I know they're gonna be safe from the minute I put them in the room to when I get them out in the morning. You wanna make sure it's safe. There's nothing on the floor. The furniture has, the corners is safe as well. It's not pointy, or you can get something to cover it. There's nothing that they could climb. The window is shut safely. The blinds are closed. Just anything that, or even if you have like a side table, nothing. Like take any of that out. Because I know a lot of moms might have like a humidifier on top of their little side table, or maybe it's a decor that goes with the set. Everything has to just be gone.
Got it. And this transition is particularly hard, not just because of the safety reasons, but also the toddler behavior, right? And I think that's a whole different podcast in of itself. Yes. But to touch upon it high level, this concept of independence that they get, all right, you're successful in sleep training, but how do you keep them in bed, either asleep or not rolling out of bed and coming into your room? I know there's different tips and tricks of having the noise machine have a different color when they can come. Can we touch upon that high level? And maybe we'll have a different podcast that goes into that.
For sure. Yeah, because it's such methods. A wide, topic. So a lot of times, yes, the light is great, and letting them pick it out too. Again, now, they do get independent, and babies understand everything, especially a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old. They know like, okay, this is my room, this is my space. The sound machine is great. And again, we want it way up high. That way they can't pull on it, take it off, but yes, a sound machine is really good. And there's also the shusher as well, that it's becoming very popular. People are using that because it helps them along with the sound machine. The red light is amazing. It keeps the room calm, and, because a lot of times we do want it to be pitch black, but now once they're on their floor bed, which I recommend no higher than like 1 inch or 2 off the ground. That way, if they do roll off the bed, maybe there's like a mat underneath that it won't like break their arm, or, because if they have tile or wood floors, you don't want them to bang their head if it's not, too high off the ground, of course, but things like that. And then a lot of times we do recommend like a gate to where if they do open the door, that there's a gate at the door. That way they can't get out, or maybe there's like a child-proof lock to where if they do pull down the knob, they can't open the door either. Because again, what if somebody has stairs or mom's asleep, and even though they have the monitor, you know, being a mom is a lot. So now when it's time for bed, they want to make sure like they're having a peaceful sleep, they're okay, and everything is safe.
Gosh, thank you so much for all those tips and pointers. It's been amazing having you on our podcast, and to many more topics around sleep, safety, and toddler behavior to come forth. Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
As we wrap up this special episode of MissPoppins, The Art of Parenting, we want to express our heartfelt gratitude to Nicole Morales, our incredible sleep coach. And to our listeners, we hope you found today's discussion on Snooze safe, creating the perfect sleep sanctuary for your child, both informative and inspiring. Always prioritize your child's well-being and happiness. It's the most important aspect in any situation. We encourage you to put into practice the strategies and advice shared by Nicole. And if you need further guidance or support, don't hesitate to download MissPoppins app, where you can connect with our team of experts, including postpartum, sleep, lactation, and many more coaches, all dedicated to helping you master the art of parenting. I'm your host, Nikki, signing off for today. Thank you.